So in the previous part, we had created an OIDC service account, and in this part, we'll be configuring the Ingress controller. So what is the Ingress controller? I'll first explain you that. Ingress controller is an implementation that fulfills the roles defined in an Ingress resource. So I mentioned earlier that Ingress is not useful without the Ingress controller. So what Kubernetes has done, that it has created an Ingress resource, and it has given the liberty to the different companies to provide an implementation on how they're handling the load balancer or the Ingress resource logic. So there are multiple companies such as Nginx, Traffic, and Istio Gateway, which provides implementation for Ingress controllers. And in this application, we'll be using application load balancer by AWS as an Ingress controller, and its purpose is to handle actual network traffic and monitor ingress resources and dynamically configure routing rules. And it works in a way such that the ingress controller is deployed as a pod, and it watches the ingress resources and dynamically configure routes. So I'd already done this part and forgot to record. So firstly, we'll be deploying this load balancer using Helm charts. So Helm is a package manager for Kubernetes that simplifies the process of defining, installing, and managing Kubernetes applications. So basically, if you want to deploy some complex resource or any other resource, predefined template resource from a template, we can use Helm. So Helm chart is a package that contains pre-configured Kubernetes resources. Charts can include deployment, service, ingress, config maps, secrets, and more. So advantage of using Helm is that we can track the releases, so that we can make it easier to roll back or upgrade applications. We can allow. Firstly, you need to add the EKS charts by AWS using Helm. So Helm repo add EKS, and then you need to update the Helm chart, and then you need to use this command which is present in my GitHub repository to install the AWS load balancer in the cluster. So you need to set the cluster name here, and we had already created the service account. So I've already given the name of that service account here, AWS load balancer controller, and you need to set the VPC ID. To get the VPC ID, you can go to the networking tab and use the VPC ID present here. So I've done it right here, and when you enter this command, you will see that you will get a message like name AWS load balancer controller, namespace kube system, and status is deployed. So what it has done is that it has created a load balancer. See, it has created a load balancer. I just did it 5 minutes back, and it has created a load balancer from where we'll be able to access our application. So if I go to the ingress resource, see, ingress resource. Earlier, there was no load balancer URL present here. If you can go back to the video, to the second or third part, there were no URL present here. And our application can be accessed using this load balancer URL. So when I click this URL, it will take some time. It will take some time initially. Till then, I can show you kubectl get ingress. So in the previous part, there was no address present here, correct? So by configuring the load balancer, we have given this an address, and our application will be accessible using this endpoint. So I think the load balancer has not been initialized properly. That's why it's taking some time. So let's give it a minute or more. Okay, so as you see on the screen right now, this is the load balancer URL, and my application is accessible here, which is part of the Kubernetes cluster. So to access, you can just go to the Ingress and give your users this load balancer URL, or you can use Route 53 to map it to a domain as well, and so that you can access your cluster, and you can access the application from this. So this is the end of the video. I hope you were able to deploy your application on Kubernetes. I just gave you a kind of guideline on how you can use the different files and what all do you need to configure your project accordingly for a deployment to Kubernetes. All these details are present on my GitHub profile. I will mention the repository in the description and in the comments as well. So you can try deploying your own applications using the steps mentioned. And I hope you give it a star, and uh, please like, share, and subscribe the channel video, and you can share it to your friends as well. I hope I don't think you'll do, but if you really enjoyed the video, try this. It can act as a project for your resume. So that's all. Thank you very much. make sure to destroy the clusters, or else you will be charged for the resources. So please ensure that. And thank you.